Happy Halloween, fellow Earpers! Hello and welcome to the Earp Curse Con, a ghost story. Why not? Improv storytelling panel. I am your host, Jen Tidwell, and with me are the fabulous and well-rested and we hope well-rested, and well-outfitted authors, the delightful Boots and Cats.
Hi.
Uma, Chica. Hey. Boo in LA.
Hello.
And my favorite author name ever, Poopity Foo.
Hi,
AKA
everybody.
at HeyTorch. Happy Halloween, everyone. How are we doing?
Oh, wonderful day. Good
Good.
Samhain to you.
Yes. Happy Samhain to those who celebrate the holiday. And Boots, I gotta say, inspired hot potato.
Thank you. It's very hot in here.
Yes.
Yeah.
In more ways than one. Are you gonna be a baked potato by the time this is over?
Most definitely.
Okay.
Especially with this LA sun beating me down right now. So
That's right. It's a Los
Nice.
Angeles Halloween for you.
Yeah.
I remember those days well. Well, I want to thank Earp CurseCon for giving us the opportunity to share our ghost story with you today. This is an improvised ghost story, and I will be giving the authors the prompt shortly. Now, to be fair, our authors have had eyes on this prompt for a few days because we wanted to start off strong so that our first author will be able to dive in and really kick us off. So this isn't a seat of your pants improv to the degree of they've never heard this before. They have heard it, and they know what to expect. You don't, however, dear listeners and watchers. So we hope that you will enjoy what we're able to make up more or less on the spot. Before we continue, I must take a moment to acknowledge that the Wynaught Earp fic fandom lost one of our own this week. The inimitable and incredible I Am the Gay Smurf suddenly passed away. It was a shock to us all. Words are not enough to emphasize how important Smurf was to us. Looks like I'm being haunted here. Maybe Smurf is jumping in.
Aw.
I think Smurf is jumping in to say, no, you need to say more, or, oh, stop it. One of the two. I want to thank everyone who has donated so far to Smurf's Memorial Fund that was established by her writing partner, Pirate. Just so you know, the link to the Memorial Fund will be posted or has been posted in the chat on Twitch right now. It's also in this frame here. You can not click on it in the frame, but you can copy the information over into your browser in a separate window to donate. Be aware that Pirate will be disabling the donation link later today. So today is the last opportunity to get those votes in. And those donations in. If you make a donation, all of it goes directly to Mrs. Smurf and Smurf's family, who our hearts go out to. I cannot imagine. Again, yeah, Smurf, I see you flickering in right now. Thank you so for letting us know that you're here. And joining us to hear us tell a story that I'm sure that you're going to be going nuts with all of the inaccuracies that occur in the storytelling process. Smurf was well known for being a stickler for accuracy. Yep, I can see. But Smurf, you're in our hearts, you're in our thoughts with us today as we tell our story. And so without further ado, let's dive in here. All right, so the prompt today is spooky. Let me see if I turn off my background, will that solve the problem? Okay. Now I've just got my Slimer background. How about that? All right, here we go.
Well, you're a Ghostbuster, so.
I am a Ghostbuster, so I had to bust that ghost. The prompt today is Mercedes comes to Wynaught and Nicole, telling them that the Gardner mansion is haunted or some shit. Furniture and other objects keep getting moved and messages keep appearing all over the house, written in an oozing substance that may or may not be blood. With Waverly in the big city at the university library, it's up to Wynaught and Nicole to ghost bust the mysterious entity. entity. Let me emphasize that. All right. And kicking us off in our storytelling today is Poopity Foo, aka Hey Torch. The floor is yours.
All right. So, weird things were happening at the Gardner mansion, but it was purgatory. Weird things happen all the time. Everyone's pretty much used to it by now. But for some reason, this one was making Wynaught nervous. She wasn't sure why. It could have been the Halloween decorations over the house, the fake cobwebs, which seemed kitschy in the daylight, but starting to take on a bit of a sinister look as the sun started to go down. It could be the look of fear on Mercedes' face when she came to her, telling her all about the creepy sounds and scary events that were taking place in her home. Or it could be the fact that she was pretty sure there was a freaking ghost inside the house as they were walking straight towards it. The door creaked open as Nicole pushed it open, pushed her way inside with Wynaught following. Even with all the lights on, shadows looked at them from every corner. The description of the furniture moving was not quite as Mercedes explained it. It wasn't just moved from one place to the other. Everything was shoved against one wall in a pile of chaos, almost like someone had lifted the corner of the house and tilted it, tumbling it all the way. The picture frames on the walls were all turned around so they couldn't be seen. And where there should have been mirrors, there were just empty frames with shards of glass on the ground below. It was like being stuck inside of a strange Twilight Zone episode, or even an X-Files episode, since she had her very own skeptic redhead at her side, with less sexual tension, but it's still a little bit. The thing that really got Wynaught worked up, though, in the center of the room, on the floor, in some smeared substance, the word mine across the hardwood. She crept closer to it nervously, while Nicole just moseyed on over with her cop-like confidence and knelt beside it. Wynaught ran over to her when she sees her hand reaching out and slaps her on the shoulder. "Don't touch the goo." Damn, hold on. Sorry. "Don't touch the goo. Haven't you learned anything?" She grips her by the shoulder and pulls her back to standing, gesturing to the ground. "We don't know what the hell that is." Nicole shrugs her shoulders. She's pretty sure this is just some vandalism, some crazy kids. She's not sure why she draws the line at ghosts with everything they've seen in purgatory, but it's a hard sell for Nicole to believe there's an actual haunted spirit. Wynaught has a bit of a history, remembering the butcher, remembering being haunted on her own, which made her feel better that the mirrors in this instance were broken and she had no worries that an old friend might come back around, to cut her throat. Okay. So they stood looking down at the word smeared across the hardwood. Nicole, still a bit skeptic, wants to investigate the rest of the house. As she goes further in, she finds the word repeated, once on the far wall, and then another time in the corner. Just the word mine repeatedly in that same slashed script.
45 seconds.
Okay. Wynaught's crossed her arms and continues walking. She goes towards the picture frames and turns one over. And it's a family photo of Beth, Tucker, and Mercedes. The glass hasn't completely smashed away, but it's visibly cracked. As she tries to pull it down from the wall, she feels it ripped out of her hand and slams back against the wall, facing it once again and hiding it from sight. as she's looking at it, wondering what the hell just happened, the wall starts to almost bleed and the word appears again, this time in real time before her, M-I-N-E.
All right, I'm going
Mine.
to stop you there. Mine. Okay, just so everyone knows, because I was being haunted before, I neglected to mention that we're doing these in 5-minute rounds. So that was our first 5 minutes. Thank you, Poopity Foo, for kicking us off. The next 5 minutes goes to Boo in LA. Please carry on off the word mine.
So this creepy, blood-looking script has just appeared before both Wynaught and Nicole, looking at it, and they don't know what the heck it is. What's going on here? Yells Wynaught. And Nicole is just flabbergasted. Her logical mind isn't quite parsing what she's seeing. What happened with that picture? I don't know. It felt like it just got grabbed out of my hands or something. Well, the clues are obviously before them, but they immediately start arguing what it means. Mine, says Nicole. Does that mean we have to go to, I don't know, one of the abandoned mines in the hills around Purgatory? No, you idiot, yells Wynaught. It means that somebody's claiming this house. They're saying it's theirs. They're saying mine. And they're obviously trying to chase Mercedes out. Well, this argument goes on for a few minutes because they're both convinced they're right. The temperature drops in the creepiest possible way because this is a Halloween story. And they immediately start shivering. Nicole thinks, oh, she's kind of glad Waverly isn't here because, you know, no bonus blankets around. And, but she gets the idea that, you know, maybe she can call Waverly and see what's going on. You know, maybe Waverly would have some sort of clue. Is this a haunting or a demonic possession, or maybe it's merely a poltergeist? You know, why not call the expert on the supernatural creepy research? But when she pulls out her cell phone, there's no signal. Whereas, you know, if she was standing out in the yard 10 minutes ago, the phones were working and now they're not. And she takes a look around the dim room, and it's almost like the cold is bringing in a really wispy sort of fog sort of around the baseboards of the house. She feels drawn, Nicole feels drawn to the same picture that Wynaught just touched. And so she reaches out and turns the picture around with the broken glass, and the sort of crispy, crunchy bits of the glass pane are falling out. And it's not the same picture. Now it's a picture of an old woman with obviously siblings, but they're not the same as the gardeners that they were just looking at. Said this woman has this old haggard face and this long white hair, and they both, Nicole and Wynaught, both peer into it and are saying, "Who are these people? What are we looking at?" And as they sort of lean closer, looking at the picture, it's almost like they can see the background move. There are trees in the background that appear to be coming forward, almost like tentacles. The limbs of the trees are reaching forward to the people in the picture. No, towards them. What are they looking at? What is this that they're seeing? And Nicole throws the picture away, drops it on the ground, and it shatters to bits. You know, the frame and the glass are now completely destroyed. And Wynaught grabs Nicole's arm, says, "Dude, we got to get out of here. This is kind of hella fucked up," and starts yanking on Nicole to you know, take her away from whatever it is that they're looking at, this mysterious thing. But Nicole feels rooted in place. She says, "Wait, this picture and this word on the wall, they've got to be clues to something. Come on, Wynaught, we got to think. We got to figure this out.
45 seconds.
We somebody's in trouble here and we need to help them. So and Wynaughta's all, you know, we can help them from the other room. Let's get the hell out of here. And and so Wynaughta is finally successful in dragging Nicole back to the living room. But what do they see there? Duh.
Okay. All right. We'll stop the clock there. Boots, tell us, what do they see?
Sorry, Boots.
So they, no, I'm sorry for what I'm about to say. Okay, so they go into the living room, and Wynaughta stops in front of the main wall, and she's staring where a new picture has come through in the bloody goo. And Nicole stops right next to her, and they're looking up at it. And Wynaughta goes, "Does that look like what I think it looks like?" And Nicole goes, "I'm worried what you think it looks like, but I know what I think it looks like." And there on the wall is just a very crude, almost pornographic picture of just two people lying on like one of those very fancy chaise lounge things together from the old days. It almost looks like old-timey porn, basically. It looks like old-timey porn. And Wynaughta goes, "Has Mercedes always had that here? Because that totally seems like something Mercedes would have had here." And Nicole says, "I don't think her aesthetic is blood paintings necessarily, so let's assume that this is the ghost." So Wynaughta goes, "Okay, so we have dirty ghosts that are also terrifying." And Nicole says, "Okay, where did the honey start? Where did Mercedes say it started?" And Wynaughta says, "Well, she said it started in her bedrooms when she first started noticing it." So they decide to go upstairs. The creaking of the stairs as they go, of course, sounds like 5,000 other people following them, and they can't tell what is them walking and through this creaky house and what is a scary ghost trying to scare them. So they get outside the bedroom, and Nicole says, "Okay, go ahead." And Wynaughta says, "I'm not going in there first." And Nicole says, "I think you definitely should go in there first." And Wynaughta says, "I don't know, after what we saw down there, I don't think being the first person in a room is going to be good in any situation." So Nicole says, "Fine, we'll go together." So Wynaughta, subtle as ever, kicks open the door and it slams against the wall. And they go in there and there's nothing. They look everywhere. They look under the bed. They find some inappropriate things from Mercedes, since, you know, it is her bedroom. They both refuse to look in the nightstand just in case. And they go, "I just don't understand, like, what could possibly," and then there's this, and they're like, "Did you hear that?" "Yeah." And it sounds like it's saying something. "Do you hear anything?" Then they just hear, "Kiss." And Nicole goes, "We have to get out of here right now." And Wynaughta's like, "Wait, it's trying to communicate with us." And then they just hear, "Kiss." Again. And Nicole's like, "No, we definitely have to get out of here." And then she goes to leave and the door slams shut. And she goes to jiggle it. Of course, it doesn't open. And Nicole and Wynaughta start panicking. And then there starts to ooze more of that blood stuff from the walls. And they just hear again, "Kiss." And Wynaughta's like, "Well," and Nicole says, "No way." She's like, "No way, because we kiss, Waverly kills me, we're both like, then I'm dead, and then I'll come and haunt you forever anyways." And she's like, "Okay, fine." But then they start to feel pressure on the back of their heads, both of them slowly pushing them together, and they just hear the
1
whispers,
minute.
"Kiss, kiss, kiss." And they're both like trying to hold each other back, but they keep, and then Wynaughta goes, "I think we're dealing with a really fucking horny ghost right now." And Nicole says, "Of course, of all the ghosts to haunt Mercedes, it would be a horny ghost." And so they're slowly being put louder and louder. It goes, "Kiss, kiss, kiss, kiss." And
30
then
seconds.
suddenly They can't stop it, so their faces are just like smushed together awkwardly. And they're just like, this isn't, and the blood keeps oozing from the wall. And they're, we just gotta do it. We just gotta do it hot. And she's like, fine. And so they do really quick little like bro kiss, you know. And then everything stops and they fall apart. And the blood stops coming from the walls. And then the door swings open again. And standing there is a scary specter.
All right, I'm gonna stop you there. Okay, Jordan. Sorry, Umachika. I'm sorry. You're up.
Okay.
What? Just carry us on to the next section with this spooky specter.
Alrighty. So Wynaught looks up at the figure standing in the doorway, and she goes like, "Okay, fanfic author, what the hell's going on?" And the spirit kind of looks at them and tilts her head, and just gestures at the two of them, and Nicole goes like, "No, we're not repeating anything." Oh god. And
Does the specter come into the
ghost-
room?
well, the specter does float forward, and she grins, and then I just had something. She grins and opens her arms wide, and is like, kiss or leave. And Wynaught raises his hand and goes like, I vote leave. And Nicole goes like, hang on. Who are you exactly? We have to figure this out. And the ghost goes like, gardener. And Wynaught kind of blinks and she's like, you're a gardener? Well, I guess that makes sense. Horny ghost. Yeah, that makes sense. And when Nicole perks up and goes like, wait, is that why you're writing mine all over the walls? And the ghost goes like, yeah. Wynaught goes like, well, I've never had a ghost imply I was stupid before. That's great. And then Nicole goes like, what do you want if this is your house? And then the ghost goes, my riches. And Wynaught goes like, oh boy, do you want to tell her or should I? And Nicole goes like, I mean, really, Mercedes should probably be telling you, but I don't think we can give you that. Long story short, a lot of stuff happened, and there's no more money. And the ghost stiffens, and then her jaw opens impossibly long, and she howls at them, and her hair flies into like this fan all around her. And Wynaught goes like, yeah, I'd be pissed too. And then the ghost flies up closer to Nicole and goes, mine. And Nicole's like, I don't have it. She's like, you can blame your kids for it. And Wynaught's like, what do you, don't blame the kid. No. You could also just, leave. And the ghost swipes her hand around and like shoves some of the furniture of the bedroom up against the side of the wall, and howls at them again. Mine. And then Wynaught's like, dude, you've really got to learn to let it go. And Nicole's like, okay, so
Okay, sorry.
Nicole goes, okay, no, well, does it help if I tell you that you're dead? And the ghost draws back and looks at her like, how dare you? And Wynona's like, I think you offended it. And then Nicole's like, what else am I supposed to say? We didn't bring any stuff. Wynona's like, yeah, why didn't we? She's like, oh yeah, because somebody thought this wasn't real.
30 seconds.
And Nicole goes, okay, well, look, we can sort something out. Okay, is there like anything in particular you want? Is it just like a special piece of jewelry? Anything? Maybe we can find for you. We can talk to Mercedes. You want to talk to her? And the ghost goes like, bring me the child. Wynona's like, he's definitely not a child anymore.
All right, I'm going to stop you there. Okay, carrying on is Poopity Foo, aka Hey Torch. Take it.
Okay. The ghost says, bring me the child, and Wynonna does point out that Mercedes is no longer a child. And she grabs Nicole by the wrist and makes a beeline for the doorway. Right as they get outside and the door and they head for the stairs vanish and it becomes like a slip and slide situation. The two of them just tumbling and slipping and sliding down, grabbing onto each other and screaming their heads off. They don't remember the stairs being this high up before, but the slide feels impossibly long until they finally reach the bottom and bounce off of the wall at the landing. They get their bearings and pull each other up and run for the front door, but it's locked. They can't get it open. Wynona's yelling at Nicole, don't you know how to open a door? You unlock doors from the inside. What's wrong with you? And neither of them can unlock the door. They turn around, backs pressed against the door, and they see that woman, Specter, floating down the stairs. And she's just repeating, the child, the child. And Wynonna tells her, I don't even know if there are any children in purgatory these days. No one knows if there's, when's the last time you saw a kid in purgatory? What Nicole tells her, just stop making jokes, stop trying to piss the ghost off. Shoot it. Your gun is magic. Shoot the ghost. It might work. So she's like, oh, duh. And she takes out Peacemaker, aims it at the ghost, and fires. Bullet goes straight through. It's a ghost. Wynonna just shrugs. I don't know what I expected. But so they need to now figure out what the hell she means by the child. And if they can't figure that out, how are they going to get out of this? And how are they going to stop this dang ghost? And how are they going to explain to Waverly that they kissed? So they run further into the house, away from the front door, into the back room. It looks like kind of like an old office, all dark woods and lots of leather-bound books, very important. And Wynonna starts just pulling books off the shelf, throwing them like a maniac. What are you doing? Nicole wants to know. She's got her own gun out now, even though it does nothing to a ghost, but it gives her that sense of security and the thought that maybe she'll be able to do something. And Wynonna looks at her like she's an idiot. Have you never seen a movie? There's always a secret passage. It's always behind the bookcase. And she's just knocking things out, making a mess of all of these fancy looking books. And then when she moves the last bit, no magic door or secret door opens up, but she does find a safe behind it. She goes, bingo. And Nicole turns around and sees what she's looking at and sees Wynonna fiddling with the combination lock. She tells her, now is not the time to try and rob the house. I know it's your basic instinct, but can we please focus? Wynonna tells her to shut up and just keep her eye out for the ghost while she fiddles with the lock and tries to figure out how she's going to get it open. She just has a feeling that there's something in there that might be able to help them or might catch a pretty price if they survive this anyway. The door bursts open, little splinters of wood flying everywhere. Nicole goes jumping back out of the way just as Wynonna opens up the safe, and she reaches inside, and it's just documents and a box. And she looks over the documents. It's boring legal stuff for the house. What the hell is she going to do with that?
30 seconds.
Tosses it aside, and she pulls out the box just as the ghost is reaching for Nicole's throat. And Wynonna opens the box, and she looks inside, and she goes, "Holy shit."
Okay, we'll stop there.
That's where I'm.
Alrighty, Boo, you're on deck. What is Wynonna reacting to?
Holy shit, she says, looking into the box. It is a gorgeous, old style kind of pendant thing with this ginormous ruby set among all this ornate silver filigree. It's like, I don't know what this is, but I'm sure I can get a lot of money for it. Nicole is trying to back away from the ghost, who is reaching toward, floating towards her with, a very kind of creepingly slow aggression. But she says, "Give me that." And what she does is she takes, Nicole grabs the box out of Wynonna's hands and throws it at the ghost, and which magically makes the ghost disappear. It's like, holy shit, says Wynonna. That I guess that was meant to be something. Well, duh, says Nicole. It's at least we don't have a ghost attacking us now, but we still need to figure out what the hell is going on with this house. Is there a danger to purgatory? Do we need to exorcise the ghost from the house? Wynonna says, this is not a time to be talking about, running and getting a workout. And I know it's a cheap joke. I had to make it. So the ghost is no longer threatening them, but the furniture is starting to move, and the walls are starting to run with blood, and there's something still pissed off here. They need to figure out what's going on and how to make it stop. And so Nicole says, Dolls told me about the basement of this place. We need to go down there and see what's going on here. And so, of course, the Gardner mansion has the creepy basement. And Wynonna says, I know where the stairs are. And so Wynonna told to, okay, you go first. So Nicole's creeping down the stairs, looking to see what's going on in the basement. Is there anything down there? It's cold as ice, of course. And, that creepy fog is back, sort of trickling around the baseboards. And they're hearing voices, but they can't quite understand what the whispers are saying. But this is obviously the center of whatever creepy thing is going on in the Gardner mansion. It's the lights are flickering, and it's spooky Halloweenish, and just nobody is comfortable. It's like, look, says Wynonna, I've been in some pretty dicey situations in my time, but this is not making me happy. And Nicole says, yeah, me neither, but we need to do this. We need to figure out what's going on, since doesn't follow us back into town or back to the homestead or anywhere. This is something we need to take care of right now. And they start exploring, and the parts of the basement are finished, but parts of it sort of towards the back of the house and away from the stairs are unfinished floors and unfinished walls. It's like a pit in the ground, and they can see the dark earth and the rough walls, the dirt and the stone. And the further back they go, the colder it is, and it's almost like the creepy whispers are getting louder as they go towards the back of the basement. And Wynonna says, "Can you understand what they're saying?" And Nicole says, "Hush, it's almost there, almost. but are they saying something about revenge? The revenge of the child? What is it that they're saying? And they can't quite comprehend what it is, but
30 seconds.
the draw is there. There's something that's pulling them towards that back wall of the basement. It almost looks like there's a glowing light there, and some kind of eerie, ethereal. There's a force there, and they can't help but move towards it.
All right, I'm going to stop you there. All right, Boots, what is this magnetic ethereal force?
They're moving towards the light. And Nicole goes, "This feels like a bad idea." And Wynaught says, "Oh, this is definitely a bad idea, but I can't stop." And Nicole says, "Neither can I." And Wynaught says, "Suddenly I'm much more empathetic to mosquitoes these days, moms." And then they get closer. And as they get closer, the whispering gets louder, but it's so noisy and there's so many voices overlapping each other, they can't really make out what it's saying. And then Wynaught puts her hand out to touch it, and her hand gets enveloped by the light, and then it goes out and there's nothing. And it's just a brick wall that looks, one section of it looks newer than the rest of it. And they're looking at it, and Nicole goes, "Mercedes would have told us if any of her ancestors were buried down here, right?" And Wynaught goes, "Probably not. It's not really something you mention in casual conversation with someone, that your dead bodies of your family are below while you're having tea." And then Nicole says, "This looks weird, right? Like there's something," and then the whispering is happening behind the bricks. And so they both put their ear to it and they try to listen, but they can't make out anything. And Nicole swears she feels like a beat behind the brick, almost like someone is still back there. And so they pull away and they stare at it, and Wynaught says, "Okay, so we gonna smash the shit out of this wall, or are we going to just pretend like we never saw this?" And Nicole says, "I guess we have to smash the shit out of the wall." And so they go back into the basement, and of course there's nothing. They can't find anything to destroy the wall with. And Wynaught says she wished of all the times for Doc to not be here with his dynamite, now would have been the time that it actually would have been useful. And so they look back at the wall, and it's kind of like morphing, and it almost looks like liquid or like a force field back there. And so they go back to the wall, and Wynaught goes to touch it again, and then she gets sucked back in there. And Nicole's standing on the other side, just staring, not sure entirely what to do, because Wynaught definitely disappeared behind a solid brick wall. And she goes, "Wynaught?" And then she hears a faint, "Hot, get hot, just touch the wall." And then Nicole goes, I don't know if I should touch the wall." And then Wynaught goes, "It's fine, trust me, just touch the wall." And so Nicole, against her better judgment, touches the wall, and then she gets sucked behind it too. And they're just stuck. They're just in dark. There's nothing. It's just dark. They can't see anything. But Nicole reaches out a little bit and she feels Wynaught there. She goes, "Are you trying to grope me in the dark?" She's like, "I don't know what's going on here. Like, where are we? You said it was fine. There's nothing here." And Wynaught says, "Well, I'm alive. I can breathe. And we're together, so it's fine." And Nicole goes, "That's not how this works, Wynaught. We're both trapped back here." And then the whispering starts again, and it's definitely all around them this time. And And Nicole goes, this is terrible. This is a terrible idea. I should have never listened to you. Every time I listen to you, it's a terrible idea. And Wynonna goes, we need to get out of here. We need to capture the ghost in some way or something. And Nicole says, well, I didn't want it to come down to this, but Waverly does have a Pinterest page of spells that I can pull up right now. And Wynonna
3
goes, why the
seconds.
fuck? And Wynonna goes, why the first 2 questions? 1, why the fuck didn't you bring that up earlier? And 2, why the hell does she have a Pinterest page of spells? And Nicole just says, listen, I don't know. I just encourage her beautiful passions in every way that I can. And then she pulls it up and they start looking through the Pinterest pages of different various spells and such, just behind Wynonna, the ghost glowing this bright bluish color rises up behind her in the
Okay.
dark.
All right. So the ghost has appeared inside the wall. Umachika, you got 5 minutes. Take us home.
Alrighty. So as we're looking at the Pinterest page and scrolling through all the different entries in there, Wynonna goes, do you feel cold? And Nicole goes, oh no. And they turn around together and the ghost is there and it holds out its hand and goes, bring me the child. And Wynonna's like, we're trying. We don't know what this is though. Maybe a little explanation. And Nicole backs up, but she's still kind of looking through the phone, just like desperately trying to find something. And then she goes like, whoa, hang on. And she claps her hand on Wynonna's shoulder and she's like, Wynonna, says that sometimes they're not very good at communicating. No shit. Yeah, but they could be looking for something and not be very, and be like only partially telling us what it is. What if there's something tying the ghost here? And Wynonna goes like, well, that's great, but like what? And Nicole goes, the necklace. Wynonna goes like, oh, come on. I was going to sell that. And the ghost goes like, mine. And Nicole goes, right. 1 minute. And she says, I really hope this works. And she lunges back towards the wall and falls through it without any damage. And then she scrambles up and Wynonna comes up behind her and she's like, really? It's just that they just have a wall that does that? And Nicole goes, not now, Wynonna. And she scrambles over to the necklace and picks it up. And Wynonna's like, okay, but how does this have anything to do with a child? And Nicole's like, I don't know. Maybe it's that precious to her. Wynonna goes like, ooh, wait. Maybe boring illegal stuff actually has stuff to do with this. And so she runs back over to where the box is and pulls up the sheets of legal papers and everything. And she's like, I bequeath, blah, 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 blah. Ruby's child, the Queen's Revenge. It's the necklace. The necklace is the child. And Nicole goes like, really? She's like, I don't name jewelry. And Nicole goes like, all right, well, let's get back to the ghost then. And so they run back and they burst through the wall. And Wynonna goes like, who is their architect even? Like, who? No, seriously, why not? This is not the time. And Nicole holds the necklace up to the ghost and she's like, we've got it. We've got the child or whatever. And the ghost goes like, mine. And Nicole's like, yeah, here. And the ghost goes, and the ghost just silently points over to and like to the right. And Wynonna goes like, yeah, we can't see in here, remember? It's and the ghost floats over a little bit using her own like ectoplasmic shine to dimly light the room around her. And they see a coffin there in the room. And Nicole goes, holy shit, they really do have a dead relative down here. And as they get closer, they realize that the top of the coffin has a glass portal in it. And Wynaughta's like, this is the freaky shit that rich people do, I swear.
1 minute.
And they work together to open the coffin. They find a regal-looking, maybe Victorian era lady lying in the coffin, and they go like, it must have been hers. This is her necklace. And Wynaughta's like, great. Do you want to put it on her? And Nicole's like, look, I've been the one going in first to these rooms and getting almost choked by ghosts. Maybe you can do something.
30 seconds.
And Wynaughta goes like, okay. And then she grabs the necklace and hastily tosses it over the woman's head, going, ew, 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 ew. And then they slam the coffin down, turn to the ghost and go like, okay, are we good? And the ghost goes like, my riches. Thank you. And then she pulls back and dissolves as she does, and lays back down into the coffin where she finds her rest. And Wynaughta goes like, please don't get that attached to any kind of jewelry ever. And Nicole's like, yeah. Get out? Yeah. And
All right.
yep, and then they hop through the wall.
And sanity, more or less, is restored to the Gardner Mansion. Well, what a fantastic, spooky little romp that you took us on today. Thank you so much to our authors, Poopity Foo, Boo in LA, Boots and Cats, and Umachika. This has been a delightfully... actually, I was expecting more gore from you guys. I was going to say delightfully gory, but it really wasn't gory. Delightfully mystical and ethereal and ectoplasmic story for you to share on this lovely Halloween. Thank you again to Earp Kurskan for hosting this ghost story session. And everybody have a wonderful Halloween. And don't forget, read more fic.